Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 423 at scavengerlife.com.
So we talk about recession, proofing ourselves, and it was interesting hearing people talk about the things that they do. And I think at the end of the day, I think for a lot of us, if we live our lives as scavengers / frugal people, because I think any scavenger is likely going to be frugal as well, because if you're scavenging, it means like you're into that kind
You're
of
into not spending money and saving money.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, could you be like someone that just spends a lot of money but then be a scavenger? I don't know.
I don't know if that would work.
Yeah. But it was interesting. Some people were commenting on judging people. I was like kind of berating you for not, telling you not to judge people. I mean, I just want to make it very clear. We judge people, for sure. I just think in this context here, like when we're talking to everybody, it's good to just put the focus on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we could do a whole podcast where we just sit here and just like pick at other people. But,
right, which is stupid.
But I think ultimately if we want to do change in our own lives, I mean, we have just to talk about ourselves, because no one can argue with how we see ourselves.
Yeah, right.
And if we're going to change anything in our lives, we have to see what we're doing for ourselves.
I mean, I think for me, like I was saying, when I'm like, it's not always judgment though. It's like comparing myself to other people to see if I feel like what I'm doing seems correct.
Sure.
And so that for me, it's almost like a, it's like it's a judgment, but it's sort of more like, are they doing it better than me?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, in that case, I totally understand. Then it's more about comparing to see if you can learn anything. I do that on a forum all the time.
Sure.
Someone new comes on and they're like, hey, I've been selling for this many years. This is the thing I sell. And then I'll ask them, give me your numbers.
Right, sure.
How big is your store? How much
right.
And sometimes people come on and they have these incredible
amazing numbers. I have 800 things. I make $4,000
and then it's just like,
a week.
what do you sell? How do you do this? Are you having this problem? It's just, that's where I'm at with that. And, that's interesting because I'm not trying to break that person down. I'm trying to learn from them, so it is about comparing.
Right.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
There are definitely times where I am like looking at how people spend their money and I'm like, of course, but I try to keep it in perspective as well.
Okay, so you can judge people only to learn something from it.
You can judge people. You can soft judge.
Soft judge.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing I just wanted to talk about, I was thinking, is about home runs versus bread and butter.
Yes, that's interesting. Yep.
Let's see if people... Yeah, so, I noticed that sometimes when people are new, there's always that first early sale where it feels as if it's a home run, where you find something for $1 and you sell it for $100. Right. And it just feels like, wow, if this is what this selling on eBay thing is, I'm in. Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, I have never seen anyone be able to build a business just on home runs.
Just on those.
So we call what, our normal sales are bread and butter sales. And, I'm sure everyone has their own sense of what bread and butter is, but, it's like... Yeah. $20-$30, like that's the bread and butter stuff.
Yeah.
And that's normally what we can count on daily sales.
Yeah.
And then every so often we'll get,
higher,
a quote unquote home run.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really important to have that perspective on our business,
Right.
And if you're not into listing and selling, like $30 items, then I think you're going to be really disappointed.
Yeah. It's just, it takes a lot more effort and, it's a lot more scavenging to find that stuff, which can be done.
Right, but we've talked about it before. The number of items that are just floating around that you can buy for relatively cheap, like under $10 and then sell for $100. Like, you have to spend a lot of time scavenging for those kind of items.
Right.
You know? And it's what I think is a home run. I mean, some people would say a home run is like, you know, $500 item.
Yeah, sure.
Or $1,000 item. But, yeah.
Like, ask me the last time we sold a $500 item.
Ryan, when was the
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, we've been selling now for like 600 weeks.
600 weeks.
Yeah, you know, like if we do this podcast every single week. We've done about, I mean, not 600 podcasts, but we've had 600 weeks where we've been selling.
Wow,
on eBay.
I never thought about it like that.
And yeah, I mean, we've talked about it kind of in a recent podcast. We have not, you know, the number of items that we sell for $500 or more.
Yeah,
can get counted on how many hands? One or two?
One.
Two.
One.
We argue about that. You know, it really is rare, you know, for us to find items that sell for that much.
It is rare.
You know? Now, if you say $100 item, we sell $100 items pretty regularly.
Pretty frequently.
Yeah.
I would like it to be more frequent.
But we could not build a business just on those items.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I wanted to kind of talk about that. All right. Let's talk about specifically eBay.
Okay.
For this week.
Yeah, eBay.
Yeah, specifically.
Okay. You keep saying that.
Specifically.
Specifically.
Okay. Number one. Do buyers now have 14 days to ship an item?
As a return? So, I don't know. Because I had some of the returns said, like, they opened them on July 31st. And it said, return by August 14th. But then the other half only had 5 business days.
Right. So
I don't really know.
This came up because it's Retro Treasures WV brought this up.
Said exactly what I just
forum.
said. Yeah.
So tell me what the expectation is. Like, how has it been?
How it has been is, say for example, someone opens a case on the 1st of the month, return case. They have 5 business days to get it in the mail.
Print a label, get
in the mail. The tracking starts. If they haven't done the tracking starting, they can print the label. But if there's no tracking, on the 6th business day, you can call eBay and get them to close the case. However, in the last 6 months, if the person within your return range, which for us is 30 days, starts the tracking in that 30 days and then calls eBay and says, hey, check this tracking, they can reopen the return case, which is fine. You have a 30-day whatever, and then you'll get it back and you'll give them the money. So what we're noticing now, which Retro Treasures noticed, was the person opened it essentially on the 1st and had until August 14th or 15th to mail it, which is new.
So something to me, though, I guess I don't understand why eBay doesn't just make it easy.
Yeah.
If we have a 30-day...
Keep it open for 30 days.
...window, so they buy it on the 1st, or it gets to them on the 1st, they just should have 30 days. Yeah. I mean, I don't...
That's what I don't get.
I don't
want them to.
I want this, but that would be illogical. Then they just have 30 days, as long as by the 30th day, it's at my house.
Then I return. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why it's not like that. Yeah. Like, I love being able to close cases after 6, on the 6th business day. But again, it can get reopened and you're like, why?
Yeah.
If they're not going to ship it, like if they've changed their mind for real, what should happen in an ideal world, which we don't live in, is that the buyer is like, you know what? I'm going to keep this. I'll close the case. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, but
well, there's really no a reason for them to close a case.
Either they ship it or they don't, and then it closes in 30 days.
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay, next, Sigolini. I think that's how did you say her name, Sigolini.
We need people to send a recording of their username.
She's one of our California scavengers.
Yeah.
So she found this, I don't know if it's a bug, a problem on eBay, where if you try and ship something retail ground, right, a USPS, there's a problem. I didn't understand any of it. Do we ever ship?
I never ship retail ground.
Why would you ship retail ground?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know. So what I thought they provided retail ground as an option for people who take boxes to the post office and literally pay for ground retail at the window.
But from what I understand, she's talking about items, I guess, that are bigger.
Right.
And you want to send it ground.
Why not just send
cheaper.
parcel post?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not called Parcel Post anymore. It's called Parcel Select.
Right.
And it is only available on eBay.
Right. And so I guess what she was saying was she found out that the post office now doesn't want people to print labels online for retail ground and get a discount.
Right.
And they want people to have to go in person and pay, I guess, retail rates. So,
I thought that's what the point of retail ground was. Honestly, I didn't think you could print labels for a retail ground.
Right.
I mean, I've never paid attention to it because I didn't even think it was there.
What you would say is, why would anyone...
Just use parcel post.
Okay, parcel post.
Print.
Right.
Look, even if you're going to the post office, print the label for parcel post and hand it to them.
Right.
They're going to scan it.
Okay.
I don't know. Look.
Okay.
I know you
asked and answered. I get it.
There's sometimes with these conversations where they get very complex, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
But you do know.
It's
okay.
Look,
So parcel post instead of.
I would say use parcel post because you get the discount.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, and then I think maybe people are using, instead of a USPS, they're doing pirate ship.
So maybe Parcel Select isn't allowed on pirate ship,
which is one of these third party, and
Yeah.
I guess that people really love pirate ship because it has dim weight.
better prices for dim weight.
If you have a big item, and I don't know if they get those because they're doing some retail ground hack, and now maybe the post office is like noticing like, oh, there's this site that like found this hack in our system, so we're gonna break it. So I don't know. That's my thing. Okay,
wow,
done.
I don't
done.
know.
We're done with that. Okay,
moving on.
Next thing. Simon found out that eBay is pre-filling item specifics now.
Yeah.
So I think I understand this one, because like when we will open up an item page, eBay in the past, there's all these item specifics.
Yeah.
If you type in a title, they'll do suggestions.
Now, and that's pretty new within like the last year, which is great because it'll be like, oh, is Ralph Lauren your brand? You're like, yes.
It's not filled in. It's
right.
just a
It's suggestion. And you can say yes to all of them or just some of them.
And now it sounds like actually eBay is just pre-filling.
Which is not good.
And the problem is a lot of us have this weird workflow where we may start the item on the computer, go to your phone, take pictures through the eBay app, and then go back to the computer
and
to
type all
finish it out.
Info.
And I guess what's happening is that in between those things, because you're switching platforms, eBay will pre-fill things. Even if you did it one way, they'll change it, is what he's saying. And it's question.
Super annoying.
I think it's going to be something eBay is going to catch on to fast that they can't do that, because what happens if you get an INAD, an item not as
and you're like,
described.
I didn't fill those items. Like I'll say like pink sweatshirt, and they're like, is the brand pink?
Right.
The brand pink, right? Like whatever. And you're like, no, the brand is not pink. The color is pink.
Is it actually owned by Pink, the musician and producer? Yeah.
Oh boy. Get
this party started.
Oh my god.
Isn't that like one of our songs?
Okay. Yes. It does not sound like that.
Get this party started. No. So anyway, that's just one of those things where look, I give eBay a lot of slack. I'm glad that they try and improve things like that. We will see if they quickly, realize it's a mistake.
It seems like a bug to me. I feel like they're messing around with item specifics, and that it's not helpful, because you have to say yes or no. Like, yes, accept all, or no, and don't put that in my stuff.
Yep. Next. So we have been we had a big sale on clothes. We're just trying to move out some clothes. And so we decided to take away the make offer on all of our clothes because we already have it discounted.
We're getting really low offers.
And so I don't want to have a big discount sale and then get a make offer on top of that.
For $1.
It's just a waste of time.
It's annoying.
So we took off make offer. But we've been getting these
offers.
And mysterious offers. And the only thing I can think of is we can send those offers to watchers.
And people are countering.
And I wonder if eBay's allowing people to counter that, even if you don't have make offer.
So here's the thing. They do allow a counter offer, but I thought that when you got the email about the offer, it would say counter offer. Like, you've been counter offered.
Right.
But it says you've received an offer.
Right.
And you're like, is it an offer on an offer I made?
When you take off the make offer off of, like 3,000 items, is that in the bulk editor?
It wasn't 3,000, but
how many items?
it was like 900.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think we have less clothes than we think.
Okay.
I mean, they're taking up a lot of room, but I think we have like 1,000.
Okay, so how do you take it off just in the bulk editor?
So what you can do is you can search your active listings, and I said grab the clothing category, like you can do an eBay category, like a higher above like eBay category, like anything clothing. It's actually clothing, shoes, and accessories. I was like, whatever, they're all in the same building. Basically, I want that
body item
building on sale. It doesn't matter if it's a shoe or a belt. Okay, so you grab that, and then you say what has make offer turned on, basically. And then you're like, okay, it's these 1,000 items. And then you go in the bulk editor and you turn it off. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
Got it.
You basically filter your actives enough to go bulk edit those actives.
So the whatever it's called, the policies don't help do that. That's only for shipping.
No, that's for shipping and PayPal and payment.
Okay.
That's only.
Got it. Yeah, the only other thing we could think of is, we do have clothes in our inventory that are old. They're losers, as they would be called.
Hey, I sold a bunch of them.
That possibly are not in the right category, and maybe for some reason weren't labeled clothes. I
don't think so. Yeah, right. That might be, but what a coincidence that those aren't in the right category, and we got a bunch of offers on them. Like, that would be weird.
Yeah,
and they're on sale in the clothing category.
That's true. So that hypothesis was just disproven.
Yeah.
What is your gut reaction to the week? Blue.
Up, down, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I mean,
like medium.
Anyway, we're basically slow and steady.
Okay, $1,000.
We $1,289.
Okay, $1,200 is all right.
Over the $1,000 we need per week, but yeah, that's been about. Man, it seems like all summer long, that's kind of been it. It's like between 1,000 and 2,000, and usually, but between 1,200 and 1,500. Like, that's kind of been our point. This has definitely been a summer where we are feeling it.
Yeah, for sure.
We did sell 42 items, which
it felt like that
in recent days, in recent weeks. That's a little bit higher, so it's nice to see the volume.
Yeah,
and it was definitely a bread and butter item. I mean, week.
Bread and
our
butter.
Average item was $30.69.
Yep.
There you go.
And that's it. A lot of clothes sold.
Yep. So having that sale,
I guess that sale is helping. There are a lot of things that don't normally sell, and that's kind of the point. Like a lot of women's pants, which I have a real hard time selling. So clearly, I need to lower the price on those.
Yeah, we were having a conversation about clothes. So I think anyone that has a store for a long time on eBay, I don't know about them, but we go through cycles. We started out selling on eBay, like a lot of people, clothes. Only
you find them everywhere.
Clothes all the
you
time.
You own them.
24 hours a day, clothes.
Yeah, clothes. Only clothes. Clothes and shoes.
Then we started realizing, you can buy all these cool items at flea markets and they're
little knickknacks and
fun.
glass and weird.
And they're fun.
Yeah.
And clothes are boring. And we kind of stopped selling clothes. We still had clothes in our inventory.
We stopped buying clothes to sell them.
We would just get them every so often.
Yeah.
And then we kind of really slacked down on clothes for maybe 3 years or so. It seemed like a while. And then about maybe a year or two ago, I don't know, time seems to like...
It was like 2.5 years ago.
Right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
We started to pick up and sell clothes again, just mainly because we hear people on the its forum talk about how well they're doing in clothes, and we're like,
well, we also had a helper, and I was like, I gotta get stuff for her, and it's so easy to get clothes, so we would just
and it's been fine. Look, we're making money. And now I feel like we're kind of like, let's not do clothes so much anymore. Yeah. So I think that's where we're at. We're going to try and sell off a lot of the ones we have now and try and go back to just getting things we like instead of like just grabbing.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard not to do that.
Grabbing.
But,
yeah. So there you go.
Agreed.
Great. Okay. Scavenge of the week.
Do we scavenge anything? Someone gave me something to sell on Craigslist that I might sell today.
Yeah, right.
It's like, does that count?
Someone was...
I sold the dishwasher.
Renovating a house. Yep.
We sold the dishwasher.
And gave us like a bathroom vanity. And so we just took it and we're just trying to flip it.
Yeah, flip it.
But other than that, we are still on. I think between now and at least till the end of September, we're not going to be doing much scavenging. No. So this is the story. So if I'm 70 hearing this, I want you to remember Jay, who is now 70. This is a time where all that work you put into the store of building up your inventory is paying off.
Is it really?
We're not making $1 million.
Is it really paying off?
No.
Yeah, look, $1,200. Okay, I have.
Okay. Speak to the Ryan, who is 5 years younger.
Right.
And tell that young
thrilled
person
that you're making $1,200
and you're making $1,200 a week
doing no scavenging.
Right.
Yeah, I have been listing.
This room's getting really crowded with different versions of this.
It's like Bill and Ted.
Yeah,
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You're like, what number am I thinking of?
Yeah. Okay, put the keys under the rock.
But you have to remember to do it. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So anyway, that's where we are. Okay, the next thing, customer issues.
I had some returns. I had some people get mad that they hadn't returned on time and then never returned stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. Someone was on a forum and asked us a couple of weeks ago, like what happens when the 30-day return windows close and then the person comes and has a sob story about why they couldn't do it? And the answer is, if you want to make an exception, you absolutely can. But eBay does not require you to accept a return
after 30 days, for sure.
Yeah.
You're just like, shrug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think having a 30-day return a window is very generous. Extremely generous.
Especially for a small seller on eBay. It's not Amazon.
If someone gets an item, like if I buy an item from Amazon or eBay, and if I don't like the item and I cannot return it within 30 days, I would not get angry at someone for not accepting it, So that's just how it is.
I think it's fine.
Yep. Okay, things we learned in the forum. I've already talked about a myriad of things. A couple other things.
Myriad.
I was asking people, and I didn't really get a good answer, and maybe I can get one now. Do people still sell retail arbitrage on Amazon like they were 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago when you would go on a YouTube in the online selling world
Millionaire
and
Club,
so many videos about how people are making
go get diapers from Target, sell them for $1 million overnight,
right? And they were some guys were really serious where they're actually have a little warehouse and they have crew of 10 people, and they're going to every Target in the state to buy adult diapers, right? To sell on
Target
Amazon.
Cracked down on that.
Well, supposedly, someone on the forum was saying that Amazon itself has cracked down where they can ask you for receipts and they will not take just a retail receipt.
Like from Target?
They want to see an invoice
from
a wholesaler but he says Amazon doesn't always ask that, so people are still able to slip through the cracks. So my question is, that's fine if you're just a regular dude or gal who's
Yeah.
just kind of going to Walmart and buying like a small cart and mailing it in. I can see you taking a chance on that.
Right.
But what about those guys
With a warehouse.
who have the warehouse with the 10 guys and they're putting $30,000 on a credit card to buy the adult diapers?
I mean, are they still? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Are dudes still doing that?
Are they just taking that risk, or can that still be done?
It's interesting
That's my question.
because it's basically Amazon saying,
Call me.
Well, you can call our voicemail line and tell us. It basically is Amazon being like, okay, we just need to be Walmart, but online. Like, you got to go to a wholesaler, go fill up your warehouse, and
Right.
resell it retail on the internet.
Well, I just think Amazon, from what
That's
I
how
remember,
everyone else does
we had done like maybe a year or two on
Yeah.
Amazon experiment, and it was fine. I'm glad we did it. We made money. It just hadn't been fun for us, and we were just having the problem of just consistency and quality control. Yeah. And I can see why Amazon would get upset because we would find things that we would say were new in the box and they look like it.
The box was maybe damaged,
but maybe they wasn't as new in the box as we thought it was,
and then returns happen.
So I can understand why Amazon would crack down.
That's why I love eBay.
We don't want people like you. We want the people who are buying fully wholesale from a factory,
from China,
perfectly wrapped.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
So anyway, tell me how that is. The other thing was people were talking about scavenger superstitions.
Oh, yep, I have one.
And they're kind of like eBay conspiracy theories where like people just have feelings about things, about like eBay's punishing them, or like there's like a rolling blackout and that's why your store, so these conspiracies. But these are like kind of cuter because they're about scavengers. So tell us about a scavenger.
So one that I have that happens sometimes is you'll go into your inventory and you'll look at something really old or weird or whatever, or you're like, that's funny. That's a cool little item. And then it sells. And you're like, what? I just picked that up today. I just looked at that.
Yeah.
I wish you could just go into your inventory and like touch everything and that would happen. It doesn't, but it's funny when that happens. You're like, that's a weird coincidence that would happen.
Yeah. Sonia said like if she goes to a Goodwill, she won't get a cart. Because if she gets a cart and goes in the store, she won't find anything. But if she just goes into the store, she'll start finding stuff, and then you get a cart.
Yeah. That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm sure there are lots of other ones.
Yeah. So anyway,
I mean, there's a whole thread about it.
Yeah.
Do you have them? You're not superstitious.
Okay, and I mean, like somebody says that they have the superstition that if they go into like a thrift store and if they, I do it too. Clothes are like falling on the ground because people are just like trashy, and he'll like put it back on the rack. He says if he does that, he'll find good stuff because he's doing a good deed. I just do it because I have OCD. But
you're like, this is a mess. Well, we need to clean this up right now.
Yeah. So anyway, there's I'm sure everyone has this kind of thing.
Right. So if sometimes I've seen clothes that are about to fall off, like in the middle of the rack, and if you open that section to fix it, sometimes you'll find something cool in the middle of the rack. That's happened to me. Where you're like, oh, I wouldn't have found this because I would have, walked by.
Yep. And then we were having a conversation about, and Mark had been asking about what everyone's dream storage its facility would be. Yeah. Because I'm sure a lot of us sell at home. Right. And you work out of your home, out of an extra bedroom. What if you had unlimited, fairly unlimited cash to build like a warehouse? Yeah. What would that be like? Yeah. Well, we happen to actually kind of do that. I mean, we actually did build a bit of a warehouse, and my answer was just like, build more space than you think you need. Like,
I wanted to build double what we built. Yeah. I wanted to go up 2 stories. Yep.
Like
it was just too expensive.
Our building is how big?
It's basically 950 square feet, 1,000 square feet.
Yeah. So, and I remember when it got built. Yeah. Concrete pad, totally empty. I was like, this place is huge.
Yeah, right.
I could live out here.
You fill that up so fast.
It is totally filled out. We could, wish.
It's not total. We've cleared out half of it.
Yeah, it's completely good, and usable, but we could go another half. And it's more about like now our storage space is like it's perfect. Like every nook and cranny is being used as storage. I want space just for like room to move around.
Yeah.
That's what I wish I had. So I almost wish we had what we have now, and then have like a second floor where up there is like a workspace.
Right. Like
and that's a thing.
I think what I would love at our back building would be, because right now it's a garage essentially. Like it has rolling doors, but those aren't weatherproof or anything. So there's no AC or heat back there. So you actually couldn't do it. You know, basically what our dream would have been would be a little house back there that's basically a workshop. So it just the costs start going crazy when you do stuff like that.
We were thinking of doing a stick built, like wood. Like it would be a 2-story house.
Yeah.
And then you could insulate it and not. But then they're like, yeah, that's going to cost you $60,000 because you're building a house.
$60,000 plus because you're like, we got to run the electric. We got to do the electric. If you do want water out there, because what I was thinking was you could in the very, very future, cut that lot off because it's on a second lot and actually sell that as a house. But it just was like...
There was a woman, or there is a woman, who lives in California. I think it's like Blue Frog Shoes or something.
Yeah.
I forgot her name. Miriam, yeah. I remember she and her husband, they actually bought
a house.
Like, I guess I'm assuming a cheap house.
Yes.
Relatively close,
and that was their office
to them, and they just turned it into an eBay.
They had employees,
storage
and when we
office.
talked to her, this was years ago. She had 2 employees, and she stored all her stuff there. She's like, "We just bought a house,"
and that made a lot of sense. Like if you're wanting to do that instead of going and spending X amount of dollars per month, just get a mortgage on a cheapo house, and turn that into your eBay storage.
And then if you expand
workspace.
to a bigger space, or if you stop doing eBay, rent the house or sell the house.
Right? Yeah,
totally. I think that's a great idea. If it's cheap enough, hopefully it was under 100 because she was in a place where it was not like a very fancy.
Definitely depends where you are. Obviously, people are like, "What? Do you want to be a house in a neighborhood house is $600,000?" No, we're talking about places like where I live, where
it's a little ranch house.
We actually our friends in town.
Yeah.
And we always just love to go and look
at real estate.
And we took her to a house that was $85,000.
Yeah.
Smallish, but a good size, needs a lot of work.
Had a big yard, 2 acres.
But man, that would have been great.
Oh my God.
Had a walkout basement.
I actually love that house.
Yeah.
But
so those things exist, you urban people out in the country.
It's real.
It's real. And also, do you like when other eBayers correct you on your items?
Yes.
Yep. You do. Okay. Asked and answered.
Because I don't know everything.
Right. So, I mean, just to kind of like expand it some.
Yeah.
You put up an item like a military shirt.
Oh, especially the military.
And then a military dude, always a dude, who's like... Don't you know this isn't Korean? This is Vietnam from the 61st Infantry. Why don't you know this?
Trust me, that is exactly how they sound.
And we always say thank you, and then we take their info and then
put it in the listing. Because if people are looking for that, sure, I do my best.
However, what is not very helpful is when people be like, "Are you crazy about this price? Are you literally crazy?"
And guess how I answer them?
Is this a joke?
Guess how I answer them?
How?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
that's my favorite response. Is this a joke? Yes. Yep, it's a joke.
Sometimes it's good to hear about pricing, but only if people are like, I see that you have this up for $200. I just want to say you might be
too high.
Misunderstood. Yeah. This is actually from this era,
right?
And these things, sell normally for $20.
And then I keep my price.
Yeah,
I keep my price, and I change the title. I'm like, cool, thanks. I'm keeping it.
You still keep the price, yeah.
No, look, most people are very polite. I mean, most people are like, I just wanted you to know this is a such and such,
right?
Not a such and such,
right?
My mom does it all the time.
Yeah. To you.
To me. I see.
Through eBay.
Through
too.
eBay message. Not like she's texting me. She's like eBay messaging
Jumble
me.
and clutter.
Jumble and clutter. I'm like, thanks, Mom. No, but it's cute because, like,
report this buyer.
I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. So no, I don't mind if people aren't rude. It's fine. Yep. Some people are rude and I ignore them, and then maybe I change the title if they're correct. But yeah,
I had someone send us a message through eBay, and this happens every so often. They're like, "Oh, I see that you're selling these menus, these old diner menus. My mom just died. I have a whole box of these.
You want to buy them?
I see that you're selling these for $100. Would you like to buy them from me?"
And I say no, but you can give them to me for free because that's how I got them. I found them in the garbage.
Then I always ask, like, what do you want for them? And they'll be like, well, if you're selling these for $100 each, so I have 50 of them. Give me, I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works.
Like, I literally found this in a box of ephemera. Like 4 years ago at an auction that the box is being thrown away in the garbage.
Right. But it is interesting how.
And I want $100.
I can't tell if people like that are not very smart, or they're just like, I'll see if I can get a lot of money, But it's like, why would I pay you what I'm listing it for, and you don't have to do any of the work.
Well, I mean, what's hilarious is you actually got into like a conversation with them. Like you were having a little back and forth because it was totally neutral, but they were just kind of like, because at one point you were saying, well, you could just list these on eBay. Like, why are you going to sell them to me?
I was like, if you want $100 each, then take pictures of it and be patient, and someone will buy them. But if you want me to buy them, I'm going to give it to you like $1 a piece.
Well, and also you were like, if you're willing to do the work, then sell them. And they were like, work? What kind of work would it take to put something on eBay? And we were like,
good luck to you.
This conversation right now, that's work. Like, let's just be clear. Yeah.
Okay, let's take any calls or questions that came in this week.
Hi guys, it's Kevin from Western Mass again. I actually love you guys guessing where I live. I actually live on the Mass-Connecticut border, but I travel a lot, so that's why I always call from Western Mass. Right now I'm in Irving, Mass, aka the middle of nowhere. But hey, I wanted to call this week about sourcing products that are common near you, just to help out some of the newer sellers. And this is something I have to kind of remind myself and have in the back of my mind, that when you're out sourcing and you're seeing the same items over and over again, they may not be of value to you or may not be interesting to you, but they may be valuable or interesting to other people. For instance, we have like Pratt & Whitney and Smith & Wesson corporate office near us, so there's a lot of employees around me that often could have yard sales. It's often the case that I see vintage items from Pratt & Whitney and Smith & Wesson near me. If you're in Maine or Vermont, you may come across vintage ski items, vintage surf items if you live in Hawaii or a warmer climate. But just keep in mind when you're sourcing, when you're out at the garage sales, estate sales, auctions, that common items for you may be not so common in other places. It may be actually more valuable than you think. All right? That's my kind of the tip of the week. I've been selling since '99. I'm an old timer, so I will try to call in every week or every other week with some tips to possibly help some of you guys. All right? Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. From
he's in Irving, Mass.
Irving, Mass, which is between at Miller's Falls and Orange.
There's a Miller's Falls in Massachusetts.
And he's really close to the Wendell State Forest.
I do.
He should go camping there.
Yeah, okay.
Did you know up in a northern, like up at the border of New Hampshire, there is a town in Massachusetts called Satan's Kingdom. Satan's Kingdom.
What?
I know.
Shut
crazy?
up.
It's true.
Okay, you need to Wikipedia that. Is it newly established? Satan's Kingdom?
Satan's Kingdom. That's awesome.
What is going on with Massachusetts?
If anyone knows about Satan's Kingdom, give us a call. I don't know if it's a town or like a little...
Or like a haunted house
or
something?
It's a wildlife management area. Anyway, okay. What? So Kevin has a very good point. When people say there is nothing to buy near me, a good thing to see is like, well, what do you have in your area? Like for us, in our town, there was a Wrangler
Right.
factory in our town for many years.
Right.
And actually, before it was a Wrangler, it was Bluebell.
Bluebell, yeah.
So it's
Yep.
you. I don't see much of it these days anymore. But for a while there, you would go to a thrift store, and a worker had died because they were now old, and all this Bluebell, these vintage Bluebell jeans or
Yeah.
jackets would get donated.
I mean,
because
that
it was a
stuff is
normal
like
thing.
almost like gold.
Right. And so that
To
was a
some
fun
people.
thing. When we were in, where was it? Portland? And we went to the Pendleton. Like the factory store.
Yeah.
And we actually went through, they had like a big pile of, you could buy.
Like scraps.
Pendleton
but
scraps.
They were big. Like
yeah.
you could do something with them.
And we bought a bunch of that. And I
think we're
could
still
see.
selling those.
If I lived there, I would just go to this Pendleton factory outlet
Right.
and just buy cool scraps and,
like sell them to people that aren't there.
So yeah, I think that's a really smart thing. I think people who probably live in like a Roseville, Ohio, probably find a Roseville pottery every so
Right.
often,
And they're just like, oh, I see it all the time. But
and that kind of stuff is like people in that area are like, it's just a bunch of trash. But if you buy it and sell it to someplace else,
that's yeah. I think that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. This is Derek over at the Death Piles and Taxes podcast show, calling to talk to you a little bit about opening a savings account that you were talking about last week. I recently just opened a bank savings account and was able to get like 2.5, 2.49 interest rate. So I would suggest if that's something you're going to do and park your money for a while, that you look into that. I went over to bankrate.com and just looked at the savings options, and then they have a list of like sponsored banks. Scroll down underneath that, and they give you the best interest rate at the current time there, and then just pick one of those. And then you can just open an online bank savings account, put your money in there, and as long as it's FDIC insured, you should be good to go, just like you would be at any other bank. So just a tip there, and you might be able to save a little extra money, get some better interest rates on that. So thanks for the show and everything that you have going on, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Back in the day, like when I had a job at an office before we met, I started an ING high interest savings.
How high
I
the
forget.
interest rate? I'll
That
tell
was like
you.
20 years ago.
Let me tell you about high interest.
Yes.
I was a kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
This is back when Reagan was president,
Yeah.
and inflation was high in the early 80s.
You're Reagan youth.
I'm a Reagan baby. And I actually had jobs when I was small, and I would make and money. And my parents opened me a savings account, and interest rates were 10%.
What are you talking
Isn't that
about?
crazy? So like I saved up like $1,000. I was really young. And I was getting $100
What
a year. Right?
are you talking about?
I can remember my dad saying the first house that he bought, I think his interest rate was like
18%?
16, something crazy like that. I can't imagine.
Wasn't there like that whole like savings and loans like scandal thing? Did that have to do with why the oh no, that was in 87, wasn't that in 87?
That was different, but
okay.
But yeah, that had nothing to do with inflation. But yeah,
okay.
Right now, so I will say he's got a really good point, and we should do that.
Why didn't we do that?
We didn't do that because of convenience. We live in a
Our
small
local
town.
bank.
We have a local bank. We love them. We just went in. We got an account because, just to backstory, we're afraid of a recession coming.
Right.
So we opened up another bank account, and over the next 6 months, we want to put in like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Or more, to kind of
look,
have some cash.
having it at our local bank makes it really easy to transfer over. You just do it online.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got a check I deposited. Just transfer it over. I mean, you can do that. You can do that with an online bank account too.
It's smart. And just for our strategy right now is we're still on the build out of real estate. So all already cash except stuff we're kind of stashing away for just a rainy day. We're into building out and fixing up buildings because that's where we think our future riches will come from. So yeah.
Good idea, though, anyone who wants to open a savings account. I do like bankrate.com. I think they have good information. And anytime we need a mortgage calculator, we jump on there. So I think it's a good place. Okay, that is it for the podcast this week. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discussed and to join the conversation on the forum. You can call and leave a question on our voicemail line, as you heard. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video, currently being brought to you by Steven Schultz. You can subscribe to our Patreon account and support us for as little as $5 a month to help pay our server fees. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube for free, as always, and you'll get the latest episodes. We are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1. Sell trash, be free.
Yeah.